Hey guys, happy weekend. Welcome back to Jane Say Matters with Roy. It's still your favorite YouTube channel, a place where you can, a channel platform where you can learn, relearn, and unlearn from different aspects of life, not limited to marriage, life, relationships, businesses, traveling, moving from one country to another, especially if you're traveling from Nigeria to Netherlands, the UK or the US. Yeah, we've treated some, we've treated most of the topics related to these countries. So, but right now, for some weeks, we've been on the marriage series and we've actually treated some topics on just before you get engaged, things you need to know before you get engaged, other things you need to know just before you say yes I do, and just after the marriage. So, and then today we are continuing from where we stopped 2 weeks ago on oversights in marriage, things that we tend to overlook, things that we tend to uh unconsciously not talk about before, during courtship, before the marriage journey begins. And we cannot thank God enough for our guest speakers who has always been there for us, making themselves available even when it is not convenient. Oh my God, I pray the Lord will continue to bless and uphold your family in the name of Jesus. So please kindly join me in welcoming Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Bolaji once again to the platform today. We really appreciate your support, sharing your experiences with us. Thank you very much, sir and ma. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on the platform once again today. All right. So, to all our viewers out there, if you can see me well, if you can hear me clearly, and you know someone or people around you who should also learn one or two things from the conversation today, don't hesitate to share this video with them. Send them the link. Tell them that yes, we are live. All right. Okay. Uh without wasting much of our time, let's just go straight to the discussion today. Thank you very much, Sir and Ma. So, for people who will be watching us for the first time today, people who are yet to meet you, kindly introduce yourselves. Tell us your name and any other thing you would like us to know. You like our viewers out there. Of course, I know the both of you. Any other thing you like our viewers out there to know about you. Over to you, Sarah and Ma.
Okay, good day everyone. My name is Fola Bolaji. I'm a computer engineer and I'm based in New York. And this is Bumi. She's a data scientist and she's also based in the same place where I am. We are happy to be here with you. We are happy to share with you. We are able to discuss with you and we are open to questions as well. And thank you, host, for inviting us to this program. And we are hopeful that things will go fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Ma. So, from our conversation the last time, we actually started uh the conversation on oversights in marriage. Those little things that we tend to forget to discuss about during courtship, before the marriage journey begins. During courtship, everybody, let's just get married, don't worry, things will sort things out. And then these little things, they end up causing misunderstandings, especially at the early stage of marriages. Maybe the first 3 years, the first 5 years, things those little things that really causes quarrels among couples. So these are the things that we've been discussing for at least we started 2 weeks ago. And because these things, there are a lot of them. So today is just a continuation of it. So I think maybe we'll start with we start with Brofola today. We had Sister Bumi last week, and it was very interesting. Oh my god, it was really very interesting and very practical. Yeah, I also have some of I have a list with me here today, but would like to hear from you first, and then maybe during the conversation, I'll also be adding some of the things I have here with me. So thank you very much, Sai and Ma. Let's hand over to you. Over to you, Sai and Ma.
Okay. So we have been discussing before the program that she will have to start first. But
Oh,
now
okay,
the
no
host has,
problem.
because
It's fine.
the fact that she's able to talk about this, I was thinking that she'll be able to spur me on and she'll be able to steer the honest nest. But good. Let's see. I will start briefly and I will ask her to move and then we continue from there. So, oversight in marriage. And like she mentioned, there are so many things that we can categorize as oversight. So many things that we may get beclouded in our preparation for marriage, and we don't even remember to think about those things. We don't remember to plan about those things. Some of those may be in terms of family relationship, in terms of extended family. What is their place in your own home? Do you go to them for counsel? Do you go to them for advice? Do you report your wife or you report your husband to his or her siblings or to his or her parents if there are troubles? Those are those things that nobody talk about. If you have visitors or you have guests visiting you, how do you want to relate with them? If they are women or they are men, depending on the sex, if they are adults, if they are younger or things like that, there are so many things that you don't even prepare for, that you may not even think about. If you are talking about finances, what do we want to be using a budget, or do you want to say, oh, as God provides? What are we going to follow? Do you want to plan for the future of the kids, or do you want to say, oh, let us spend as the need arises? All of those things are things that people don't prepare about. Okay, we are talking about how do we manage our home in terms of domestic activities, even in terms of where do we sleep? To maintain a room to yourself and I have a room to myself, or are we going to be using the same room? All of those things are very, very important. Oh, I'm used to this kind of ways. For example, in terms of food preparation, some people are used to kind of meal, let's say cooking rice and beans, for example. Maybe from the side of the husband is used to you cook rice differently and you cook beans differently, and then you combine it when you want to eat. And
Oh my
maybe on the side
god.
of the wife is to okay, cooking rice and beans together and everything falls together, and that is different things. So, but what speaks out at the end of the day in terms of all of this is the ability to understand that in marriage there is a level of shifting, there is a level of adjustment that is expected on each side. On each of the sides, we need people to be able to say, I'm sacrificing this, I'm taking this as it is. And there is a lot of patience that is required, that even if this person is not doing it right in your own perspective, how do you make sure you communicate it in a friendly way that will not make this other part feel as if he or she is stupid? There are different things like that. So communication is a key factor that is usually overlooked when preparing. So something happened to a family member of mine when she first got married, and in my own family, we talk quietly, gently. It's very rare for you to see the dad or mom shouting on us, raising, screaming, and all those kind of things. So for the first few years or for the first few months, when that sister of mine was married, her husband is a very loud person, always talking loudly. So even when he's trying to correct my sister and the voice is loud, my sister will see it as if he's screaming on her, and my sister will break down in tears because she has never experienced somebody screaming on her, that kind of thing. So she was not brought up that way. But eventually, both of them were able to sit down and analyze what is this issue about. And they discovered that my sister was not used to such loud voices around her. And that other man was such that he speaks loudly. So then they were able to understand that they are coming from different backgrounds, and they are able to understand that when he's speaking loudly, it's not as if he's screaming or shouting on her, and they were able to balance it along the line. So there are so many things like that: communication style, background, finances, how do we welcome this, how do we handle this, and things like that. But I've started like an introduction, and I will want my wife to also make comment and talk about it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so like the host has said, and we have been saying for a while that oversights are not intentional. They are just things that we overlook because we didn't think they were important. But as we are talking and taking different examples, it just occurred to me again that oversights are actually caused because of the baggage of our past, of what we consider normal, which in which case normal is different from one person to another. So as I was
Yes.
talking about the rice and beans cooking, I just remembered something that happened for both of us after we got married. So for from my home background for a long time, even when we didn't have a poultry, we had big poultry farmers as family friends. So we always have lots of eggs in our house. And later we had our own poultry farm as well. So when we want to fry egg, it's more like even if you want to do the mathematics, it's at least two for one person, kind of. So sometimes you are frying for two people and you have like five eggs or six, that kind of. So after we got married, I'll fry egg, and it would be like the egg is too much. That's the number one. The second complaint is there is no oil. That there should be a lot of extra oil accompanying the egg. Not that it is just like, and I was just like, do you want to eat fried egg or fried oil? Like, but, and like he said, communication was a very good thing. Talking about it made both of us reflect.
Hmm.
So he was able to realize that in his own family, they don't have the luxury of eggs like we do. So oil was used to supplement fried eggs so that it can be enough for everyone to eat,
Mm.
which is very different in my own case. So it was after we got sometimes I'll finish frying egg, I will now add extra oil. When I remember that I'm starving, like, let me add extra oil so that the egg will be steaming in oil, kind of a situation. So emphasized it last week as well, and I want to also emphasize it for people who are listening or watching that all of these oversights are people that we can are situations that we can talk through. They become a problem and remain a problem until we have actually have sincere conversations about them. Now, the examples I just gave about myself and him, normal fried egg to him is the one that has lots of oil. Normal fried egg to me is the one that doesn't have lots of oil. Now, if he's not ready to bend or I'm not ready to bend, then we will insist that she doesn't know how to fry egg. That a normal person should fry egg and have lots of oil in it. And I can also insist on my idea and be like, no, 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 no. A normal person, if you want to eat egg, you eat egg. Do you want to eat egg or the oil? So until until we are able to be sincere enough to understand, oh, it's because of where I'm coming from. Now, in this case, nobody is wrong.
Yeah,
Nobody is wrong. It is just
definitely.
that the normal thing for him is
It's
not
not
the
the
normal
normal thing.
thing for me. So, but it becomes judgmental when we take it to be that no, he or she is wrong because he's doing it in a different way than I am used to. So, we need to have a conversation around it to be able to resolve it. So, when all of this oversights begin to pop up in our marriages or relationships, let us not take it to be the end of the world, or this is an irreconcilable difference. They are just little things that we just really need to talk about to be able to address it and understand that none of us is wrong. It's just that our definition of normal is
It's
different, and
different.
we look at how can we adjust. Like in my own case, I could pour extra oil after frying. So,
And
and
if you don't remember to
if
do
I,
that,
yeah, he
you
became
will
also
see.
used to the egg, and he was just like, poverty is not good. Like sometimes what is not normal to be normal. So that made it something we can talk about, laugh about. But the first time, the second time, the third time it was coming up, he was like, what are you actually talking about? Like, I've been frying egg for
For several
that,
years.
like, how will you say that, something like that? So we should just have that sincere conversation around it. I don't know what is on your list. Maybe
Okay.
you should bring the list up so that we can talk
We
to
can
the.
talk about it. All right. Yeah. So I have this family friend of we have this family friend of ours here, and then I interviewed uh I interviewed the wife, and then I asked her, okay, what really causes quarrel between she and her husband, and then she talked about child training. Like their marriage is like the wife is a Japanese, the husband is an American. So she said the husband is always wanting to train the children according to his own background, while the wife is used to this style of, oh no, don't scold the kids, just relate with them in love, okay, just overlook it. But the guy is coming from, "Ah, I need to scold you, no, that is wrong." So this issue of child training is something that possibly they didn't discuss it. Okay, oh, we have a question here. Why is it that in most cases it's the wife that must adjust? 95% of the instances, the women have to adjust. Why? That's coming from Ify.
Okay.
I think
Let
maybe
me
we
jump on that question.
exactly.
Ify, thank you for the question. Um, we try to provide an answer, but we need to mention that our answer may not be the final. We are providing answer based on what we think we know and based on experience. I will come from this angle that generally in most part of the world, the way we live life is shaped by religion, by available religion in most part of the world. And the way most of us were brought up were based on religion. And if we are to link it up now, we'll be talking about, okay, Christian religion. Most of us and many of us are on this program, we are actually raised from a Christian background. And in Christian home, it has been shown, or let's say in the Bible, it was shown more like there is more emphasis on men than on women, which is more like Genesis talk about the fact that Adam was created and God felt it's not good for a man to be alone. So let's create an helpmate for the man, and then we have a woman. Like a woman is meant to be a supporter to the husband. A woman is meant to be able to mate, to help the husband to achieve God-given purposes. So usually it was seen and it was taken like a woman have to adjust to make sure that the purpose of a man is getting fulfilled. So now, unfortunately,
That is a man talking.
that's the man talking. Over the over the years, it has been seen that people have been abusing this, and it was going to another extreme where men now treat women as if they are non-entities, as if you don't have a life outside of me. And then it became a kind of, there's a word that is being used for it, that machonistic or something of that nature, that everything is centered around the man. And then awareness and education is beginning to come in, and making people to know that no, it's not just about the men. Everybody, we are all human beings. Despite the fact that there are some responsibilities that are usually attributed to the woman, that doesn't mean that a man just have to stand out of those responsibilities. But to be sincere with you, because a woman usually leaves her own family to join a man, and the name, the last name of that woman has to change. So it's usually see that a woman has to adapt to the man. And even in some other cultures, the man doesn't really leave the family. The woman come to join their family, where they expect that the woman should learn their own family ways. So that is my own summary for the answer. But now, hearing from a woman's perspective, let's hear what my wife have to say about that.
Yeah. So I emphasize the fact that it's a man talking because of course I don't want to say it is still true at the same level that it's a man's world. Like when he was talking about religion and all other things, I think almost every religion or the major popular religion in the world came from the Pakistani Arabian setting. And because of that,
So, okay,
It's okay.
okay. Sorry about that.
so because of that culture, I think a lot of emphasis was placed on the man. But I'm not going to be talking about the gender in this case. Now, it can be assumed that in 95% of the instances, the woman move, but I don't want to say it is absolutely like that. Now, I'm going to quote from the Bible, which says, "A wise woman builded her own home." Now, just talking about even in a family, it is known that women galvanizes the family. If you see a family where they have ladies, they usually tend to bond more together than when it's the man. In some cases, even when they have just one girl, it is the one girl that is contacting brother A, that is contacting brother B, that is thinking about mommy's welfare, that is thinking, is daddy getting the kind of attention he needs to get? Because that nurture the nurture innate nature of a woman transfers into building, and I see that as a strength more than a weakness, because behind every successful and every great man is a woman that stands stronger. Now, she may appear weak in the public eye. It may be like, oh, it's her husband that is the president, but the husband himself knows that this wisdom, this stability that I have, this strength that I'm exuding is coming from a very supportive and strong woman that is behind me. And whether you know it or not, posterity always speak for those women. Eventually, it becomes glaring that it is actually the woman that was doing a lot of the work. So when it comes to some of this oversight, I think that a woman tends to easily move because number one, she's involved in a lot. When you talk about building a family, a man has little to do. Their roles are not as widespread. Yes, a man's role is not as widespread as the woman's role. The woman touches almost on everything. The man is much more centered on providing, protecting for the family. But the woman is the one that does a lot of in between the lines. What do we need to do and make things run? So most of the time, the woman, because she wants to build her own home, just think about which is more important, adding extra oil to the egg or fighting over egg frying every day. So since that does not like is hard, okay, let me just do it for him. Why not? So in that case, she's shifting because she's involved with much more matters that involve details than the man. But it doesn't mean that 95% of the time she has to, like, I believe that women has a way of also
Of
shifting,
manipulating men.
manipulating their man to actually move, and the man does not know he has actually moved.
Hmm. Wow, thank you very much for that
So
response, Ma.
I want to clarify something when she was trying to say that a man has little to do. Is not little in terms of percentage, but in terms of multitask, in terms of doing so many responsibilities in the home, kitchen, cleaning. There are different configuration in families.
Mm,
Let's understand that
yeah.
families are configured in different ways. There are families where a man will not touch anything that is domestic, and there are families where you have a woman doing 60% of household domestic things, and a man is doing 40. In my own family, maybe we can say it's like 80 to 20 because I don't do much thing when it comes to cleaning, washing, doing all those kind of things. But it depends on individuals. How is it working for your family? If it's going to become a point of argument that begin to say, "Oh, I have problem doing this, I have problem doing that," and then come to a level that you both agree that okay, I'll be doing this, you'll be doing that, and it works differently for each families. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so we have we have some comments here. I think
Yeah, yeah. Comments are actually welcome because we are talking about vocabularies and we are talking about different applications. So if you are
yeah.
talking about multitasking, if you have a man doing three jobs to
Mm.
provide for the children, to provide for the wife, is he multitasking? Yes.
No.
He's not multitasking.
Yeah.
He's not
Multitasking is you are doing two
at the
five
same
tasks
time.
at the same time. So that is multi-jobbing. But I
So
just want
that's
to
why
say
I'm saying vocabulary will begin to cause trouble.
no.
Don't let us
I
spread it
know that
beyond
she
that.
she also put a smile in there.
Yeah.
It's just that the natural build of a man, like there are some men who can do it well. They can like I know I have a cousin like that. He backs baby, dances for them, backs for a baby, but that is not a common configuration of who a man is. So there are some men who find it very difficult. They can cook for their wife, they can do every like they enjoy cooking, not that they are only doing it because the wife forced them to do it or nagged them to do it, but they are doing it because they enjoy it. They like to make some certain food. Some will even be like, oh, I'm going to cook for you tomorrow, like I'm making this special dish for the family, because they enjoy doing it. But it is not like an in an average family setting, even the white, like even in almost every culture, people try to blend, people try to adjust things, but it is not just the norm or the normal configuration of a man. I think men, like they always say, that for a man their life is compartmentalized. When a man is focused on his job, he's not thinking the kids are in school. Woman has everything in the same bucket. As he's thinking about school, he's also remembering she has to send an email. She's also thinking about, oh, I need to get to the grocery store. And she's doing all of that together without going insane. But for the man, it's like too much of a trouble when this is coming in the other hand. It's like, for crying out loud, let me focus on one thing that I'm
For some
doing.
men. For
Yeah.
some men. So
Yes.
then I want to quickly add to it this way that everything still boils down to the fact that what is working for you and what is going to work for you. If you are getting married and both of you are in relationship, you should be able to agree. And we are talking about for some of us backgrounds. I've seen situations where a man is cooking, doing all of those things, and they have peace in their family. In my family where I grew up, I don't see my dad cooking. He has only cooked that I know while growing up, maybe like twice, and we enjoy the meal. That doesn't mean that he cannot cook, but he's not cooking. And I've never seen my parents fighting over meals, who is cooking, who is not cooking. And they have been married for almost 50 years now and going. And we have seen families where responsibility is what they are fighting about, especially this generation. Oh, I'm doing this too much. I'm doing that too much. And things like before you know it, a marriage of 2 years scattered. A marriage of 3 years, nowhere to be found. So it depends on what works for you. If this works for my parents, good. If it's not going to work for me, it's not going to work for me, then we chat another kind of formula. But the reality is, as we are growing, as awareness is increasing, then we are beginning to adjust to situation of life the way they are coming. but what works best for you will be different from what is going to work for other. So now focusing on us, focusing on you, focusing on me, all those things are very, very important. What is it that will work for you? What is it that will work for your spouse, such that you have a peaceful marriage? That is my contribution to that.
Mhm. Thank you very much, sir and ma. During when you were talking, if you said multitasking in the house, not just doing three jobs. Yeah, I've come to realize that the way women would I say the way women are wired, this issue of multitasking, wow, I give credit to all women. You are sitting down in the bedroom, you're thinking, you're thinking about the kitchen, thinking about the bathroom, thinking about the sitting room, thinking about the supermarket, thinking so many things. In fact, on your way to the kitchen, you branch in the sitting room, branch the toilet, branch the laundry. Oh my God. But probably the men are not just like that. Their own focus, maybe just how are we going to get money, how are we going to run the family, the finances, and any other thing related to it. So, like we've been like we've been if you said we did try Jerry. Yeah, so the thing is communication. Yes, that communication is really very important. So now we are still in the conversation on how those little things. So like I was saying before the questions, the issue of child training, the issue of child training. Okay, are we going to how are we going to be how are we going to instruct, train our kids? Are we going to be scolding them, or it's just it's okay? Why no, it's fine, you're okay, just go. So I think this is one of the things on my list here, the issue of child training.
Yeah.
How can
So
All right, sir.
okay. So let me start by saying child training, a lot of it has to do with the person that ends up spending most time with the kids. Depending on how your jobs are structured, who is staying home most, who is spending more time with the kids, is required for a husband and wife to spend equal time with the kids. But there are some situations where you may not be able to control it, where you have the husband spending more time with the kids and you have wife spending lesser time, or you have a wife spending more time and the husband spending lesser time. But then there has to be an agreement on what they want to allow and what they don't want to allow, what they expected. Do you know that there will be a common agreement at this level for a husband and wife to agree on cleanliness? Nobody will like dirtiness or a dirt situation where everything is dirty. That is a common agreement. But when we are talking about specific things, maybe the way a child is walking, or the way a child is writing, or the way a child is talking, or the way a child is eating, all of those things we have to lie solely or majorly on the person that is spending more time when a child is performing such activities. But child rearing, child discipline, and everything is 100% responsibility of both of them. Everybody must be involved. And if you are not talking about, I want to raise a child in my own way, is that the way that the family is following? Is that the way of the Bible? Is that the way of God? We need to be able to say, okay, if God's way is like this, then let's agree to do it God's way, not according to your background or according to my background. What will be the best for the future of the child? Like for me, let's say I want to raise my child to become a professional footballer, and my wife is like, oh, I want my child to at first finish high school before he begins to think about going into anything football. Then there may be issue. But then, if you're able to agree that, okay, let this guy be educated, after getting educated, he can decide that this is the path I want to toe, this is the path I want to follow. That is a good understanding. But insisting that no, this is what I have on mind for my son, this is what I have on mind for my own son, that kind of thing, it will become a problem. But then let my wife also make a comment.
Okay. I want to tilt more towards the issue of discipline. Like she gave an example. Like um most of the time, just like we said, we become like a product. The product of the kind of home we are from usually reflects on what our concept of a home will also be like. And it's funny that sometimes we may not like some things that happened while we were growing up, but if we are not careful and intentional, we see ourselves repeating the same with our kids. And sometimes it will just be like surprising that it has become a second nature when we did not know it. So I think it's important that husband and wife should agree on what forms of discipline they want to give the kids. But I also want to come from the point of view that it may not be a change that will happen in a day. For example, in my own family where I grew up, my dad rarely beats us. If he wants to beat us, it's going to be like an evaluation process. Like he calls you, this is what you did. He will even ask you to go and bring the cane you want him to beat you with. So, and when you
Hmm.
bring that, it will tell you you are taking 4 strokes or you are taking 6 strokes, and that is what he will beat you. Like that's just his judgment for it. But in my mom's case, her hand is very fast. Pwa, pwa. She has disciplined you. And if you really offend her, that it's a real offense, she will just ask you to go to her room and kneel down. Everybody knows what comes out of that. You are going to be beaten with electric kettle wire, like real beating behind the
Wow.
doors. So, but it's funny that despite the fact that my mom beats more, we are much more afraid of my dad. Like maybe because we are just so used to her, like you can predict what she will do, like like you're expecting it, that she will slap you now. But in my dad's case, it's a different way, it's a different case, but we are much more afraid of those 4 strokes, 6 strokes of beating, because there's a way it communicates that you are really hurt him to beat you at all. Now everybody can decide on what they want for their kids. Like the husband can be the type that will be like, no, you don't need to be them that much. Like just talk to them. When you talk to them, they'll make their decisions. While the wife is like,
Fast,
you
fast.
need the rod of correction to bend to bend the madness in the kid and stuff like that. But like he said, the person that spends more time with the kid usually is able to get away with disciplining the kids more, because that is the person that is interfacing with the kids more. But I think when we have had discussions and conversations about what matters, for example, I learned from a man, they were just talking, but I picked up that lesson. The man said he will never beat his kids for spoiling an electronic appliance, because for him, he believes the electronic appliance must have been like the life expectancy must have been going down. It is not just that, it is that day that something, like it was because the boy turned a knob that the electronic appliance now spoiled immediately. Now,
You can say accidental spoilage. There are some things that intentionally throw things at the screen.
no, so he's not talking about screen breaking,
Yeah,
but like, oh, the boy is
accidental.
working on the radio. Maybe he went to increase the volume or something, something, and they said, oh, the radio is no more working.
Yeah,
That will not be a kid for you. Now, for example, in my own family, they don't beat us for breaking plates,
Mm.
because it was when, like, you only break plates when you are young and you are still like,
trying
the
to
coordination is
master.
not as much. But in some family, they are so tough on the kids that you break a plate, I'll use it to put a mark
To
on
give
your
it to
face.
German
And
mother.
some of those trends. Now, the thing is, if you look at it in the real sense of it, if a child is not wicked, has a wicked spirit, he or she will not go to wash dishes and be breaking the plates. It must be an accident. So, like, those are conversations to have. Should we beat a kid for having an accident?
Mm.
Now, your child did not perform as expected as you would like the child to do in school. Should the child come home and we start beating the kid? Or should
Mm.
we have a conversation around it? Is it that he's having challenge with reading, but she's doing well in maths?
Mm.
Should we get help for him, or is he failing because he's lazy? Is And all of those things. So those are conversations to have that makes us come together on the same page about the kind of punishment to give to kids. We may have differences in opinion, but when we talk about it, I believe because we are reasoning together, we'll be able to sell one another's reasoning. Like the example of school activity I just gave. In some people's family, if you don't come up with first, you are beaten. So the woman or man got married having the same expectation from the children and
Mm.
enforcing the same rule, which he or she did not enjoy when she was also young. But is believing that if you give them too much room, they won't even do well in school at all. But now, if we now have that conversation as a couple, let's say that I am the one that is from that background of the child must be number one. That is when the child is successful. And my husband is from another background of, oh, so being like if you're an A student, this child has an A. It doesn't need to be number one competing with some people. Like, it's not that the child is not passing, it's just that he's not number one. Now, if we are able to reason together, then I'm also able to change my opinion and mature in my thought about such instances. So,
Mm. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you very much, sir. And so, there is a question here from Ife. In the area of child discipline, how do you manage the situation whereby a spouse overreacts to a child's character or misbehavior? This could be because the spouse at the moment may have a mood swing. How does one correct the spouse?
So I think the first thing that is important in this kind of situation is mutual respect. Mutual respect is very, very important. Anybody can have a mood swing, whether husband or wife. Any one of us can overreact. But when your spouse waits in that place a little, then there is a caution. That doesn't mean that the husband or wife will stop disciplining the child, but he knows that there is a caution somewhere, that maybe I'm going too far. Let me just say discipline, but reduce the intensity of the punishments, that kind of thing. So any one of us can fall into that situation, but when you respect your spouse, then when your spouse is cautioning you at that time, then you are a kind of taken back, and you do it, but not at the same rate, or not in the same way you are inflicting that kind of discipline initially. So mutual respect is very, very important. Agreement between husband and wife that if you are doing something, you are disciplined, and if I'm cautioning you, I'm not saying that you should stop it. I'm just cautioning that don't injure him, don't take it too far, and things like that. We have had such moments when I will be scolding maybe my child, and my wife will be like, "Oh, let's reason from this other angle too." Or maybe she's beating her, be like, "Hey, take it easy with them. They are still kids." That kind of thing. Not as if we are trying to spoil each other, one another's image in the presence of the kids, but it is for the interest of the whole family, interest of ourselves, interest of the kids. If my wife has a mood swing and it takes something like wire, like she mentioned, and she began to belt the boy, and I was just like, "Hmm, she has come again," and I'm not talking. And before I know it, the pain is peeling off. And now, and now came in to say that, can you now see? Can you see what you have caused? And then, no, that is not working together. When you know that she's overreacting, you step into the matter. Okay, let me handle it from here. Let me continue
Mm.
to discipline, that kind of thing. But when you have mutual respect for one another, I think is going to save a lot of issues around this.
yeah,
Mm.
so I believe that the spouse can come in if one person is overreacting. But then it has to be done with a lot of caution. It depends, like if it is just that you are just slapping somebody and it's like, hey, daddy, like you are just making a joke. Because it is not right. So the next question that come in is what I'm trying to come into. You don't
Mm,
correct your husband or wife in the presence of your kids. It doesn't appear to right. But let me give an example of a situation. Like if my husband is like, maybe her son is writing slowly now, or he asked him to do something. Okay, let me give an example that is common. Like after bathing, like my sons can remain in the bathroom under the shower if you don't stop them for as long. Like they are just bathing. And you need to be like, time up, stop the water, get out of the bath, go dress up. And they get into the room on a school money, and both of them sit on the bed talking and creaming their body as if they're at a spa, and they are just taking too much time. Like, and I'll just be like, "What's wrong with you? Get this, get that." And my husband can be like, "Mama, take it easy." Or something that is more of a joke and a correction. Now, for me, I get it to be that he's saying, take it easy with them. But he's saying it in a funny way that the
The
kids
kids can
don't
never
understand the
understand.
message that is
mm,
passing. And
mm.
sometimes I, to him too, I can make it a joke like, tell me who he looks like. Something like that. Like, tell me where he got that from. And you understand that I'm saying be softer on him because he actually got this kind of behavior from one of us. Like he didn't invent himself. That kind of a thing. But when it is like more of an abusive kind of correction, I think there's a need to address that behind the doors. Like
Mm,
if it I'm talking from a Christian point of view, if it causes you to pray, there are things that you pray about that God needs to open the eyes of your spouse to see that this is no more discipline, this is abuse, this is too much on the kids. Now you don't have that kind of conversation in front of the kids. Or my husband would not be beating my son now, and I come in between and be like, you have to beat us together. Or that right. So, but there are situations that you have to talk about it behind the scene. Even all these ones that I said that are funny, like behind the scene, it can be like when you were beating him, I think you were actually overreacting. Like when you are hungry, sometimes I just think you need to walk away or just leave them and stuff like that. Those are behind the scene talks that you have a good conversation about so that you have an agreement. But when there is continuous disagreement about what form of discipline to take. If someone continues to be like a forceful, very forceful kind of discipline, then it probably tells you there's something underlying
Yeah.
which needs to be addressed. It can be an abuse that your spouse also suffered from, replaying itself in his life that he doesn't even have real control over
control over.
Conscious.
Mm,
or conscious of. This thing just comes on him because he thinks that is a way of life. And I'll say that, like I said before, sometimes you need to apply prayer. Sometimes it can be that you need counseling. Sometimes it can be that you need to talk to somebody in between, somebody that knows, maybe like I'll call somebody in his family to talk to him about it, or friends and stuff like that.
mm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much, sir and ma, for these practical illustrations. I hope your questions have been answered, Ify. It's really another interesting and insightful session today. In fact, personally, I learned a lot because this issue of correcting each other in the presence when the beating is going on, because before you know it, you're like, otito, otito, otito.
Yeah, the emotion will kick in.
Of course, you're like, otito, and later, maybe one of the, I've had a instance before. My first daughter was like, Mama, what is otito, otito, otito? So
The child wants to be sure that she's safe so that it's not like you're saying too much.
in fact, I was even trying not to speak English. I was saying, Otito, otito, otito. And then she was like, what is otito, otito? And later, After that time, later she was like, when my husband was correcting our younger sisters, she was like, Papa, otito, otito, otito. She was saying it. So really, I've also learned I learned a lot from the conversation today. Oh, I'm happy if his question has been answered. Thank you very much, sir and ma, for this privilege. So maybe in the next few minutes, I'd like us to, another one of the other points I have here with me is the issue of sleeping. The issue of sleeping together or separately. Uh we are from different backgrounds, and possibly our parents, you know we have, like, maybe our parents, they, when we are growing up, possibly they had separate rooms, and here is the brother, the sister coming from different angles as well. The brother is coming from an angle of, okay, my parents, they have separate bedrooms. The wife is coming from the angle of, my parents, they sleep together, they do everything together. Now you coming together as husband and wife, you are like, okay, the first month, the second month, okay, it's still honeymoon, it's still honeymoon, and then later they have to start showing, okay, this is the real me. In situations like that, I would like to hear from you, sir and ma, in just
Okay,
before we round up today.
yeah, there are different school of thoughts around that, but like we said, there should be what works for the couple. For us, our own school of thought is husband and wife must stay in the same room, sleep on the same bed. And some of the reasons why we agree on it is the fact that number one, it helps communication. If care is not taken, if you are not staying, waking up together or sleeping together or something of that nature, you may not even have time to discuss some crucial matters. It may you may be trying to create time for one another when you are even living in the same house. But if you are sleeping together, you don't even need to create time. At any point in time, the husband or wife can bring up a topic, maybe when you are about to sleep, or maybe when you wake up, and things like that. Then when we are talking about intercourse, it makes it easy. It's not going to be based on appointment that let's fix an appointment for Wednesday, let's fix an appointment for Friday night. So there should be unfiltered access that a husband should have to his wife, and that a wife should have with his husband. There should be that constant access as long as you are living together. So communication helps. It helps in communication. When you are having issues also in terms of argument or something, it helps because when you are sleeping on the same bed with somebody, there is no way your body will not at some point touch the other person. So when your bodies are touching, even if you have argument, it will be easier to resolve that when you are always together. So people may have different opinion. There may be some situation where that we have mommy's room, but it is known that mommy only keeps her stuff in that room because maybe one room, the kind of room that you have, is not able to contain the clothes of the man and the woman, and mommy only keeps her stuff in that room, but she sleeps in that same room that they are using as couples room. So because women are known to have many more items than men, so there may be reason to keep some things outside the common room that husband and wife are sharing, but it's always advisable that husband and wife are sleeping, spending time in the same room. They are married. And it should show, their sleeping pattern should show that they are married. So
Thank you
now,
very much, sir.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think it's the same from me that um, people have different reasons for not sharing the same room. But for me, it communicates I want to have my own
uh-huh, yeah,
and you want to have your own, which does not look like a perfect or ideal marriage situation because actually you could have your room, you could have your house before you decided you want to get married. Like you had your room. So by the time you got married and you are coming together, I think it should be have a room, because we want to share all things together, at least on that level. Because but well, some people still have arguments for saying that they should have their own, or not. But I believe if a husband and wife find themselves in this situation where somebody wants to have a room to themselves, I think they should have a time to sit down and do the pros and cons, and be able to highlight whatever comes, like these are things that can be the challenge, or these are the advantages. um and they should be able to agree on what is best. But on any good day, I would say husband and wife should share the same room.
Thank you very much, sir and ma. It's an interesting one. It's been an insightful conversation, and to all our viewers that will be watching possibly the replay of today's session, don't hesitate to drop your comments, your questions. We're going to I'll forward the questions to our guests any day, anytime. It's really an interesting one. Thank you very much, sir and ma. So, in 1 minute, just something to go to take home with. In summary, something to take home with.
So, so from my side, something to take home with is number one, respect. Number two, that I don't really have enough time to share, is transparency. So respect and transparency towards one another is key.
Thank you very much,
And for
sir.
me, what I will consider something to take home with is just just take things easy. Like the path of peace is better than the path of discord. So as much as possible, just take things easy with yourself and enjoy your life. We have only one. So
Thank you very much, sir and ma. So, on this note, we'll bring today's conversation to a close. Thank you so much to everyone who joined the conversation today. Thank you very much. We appreciate your love, your support in various forms. And till we come your way again, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. On this note, we'll be calling it a day. Thank you. See you in the next
Bye.
2 weeks. Bye for now. Bye.